Hello, and welcome to our webinar on AI and automation for regulatory compliance in medical devices. We're going to give folks a couple of minutes to join. I know there's still several people getting into the Zoom room, so we'll give folks about 2 minutes and then we'll get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to the Celigence webinar on AI and automation for regulatory compliance in medical devices and smarter data management. I'm Erin Cosgrove, VP of Business Development for Medical Affairs at Celigence, and we're excited to share this topic. We've got two great speakers today that are both working on this every day. And we're thrilled to share a little bit of what we're seeing in terms of the challenges and some solutions that we found for smarter data management. As we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. The format's a 1-hour session. The presentation will be approximately 45 minutes, and then we'll use the rest of the time for Q&A. You have a Q&A panel in your Zoom screen. Feel free to add questions into that Q&A panel as we go through the presentation. We'll hold the questions until the end. However, feel free to type them in as we go through, as you think of them listening to the presentation. The recording will be made available after the session. And if anything comes up during the session, please just drop it in the Q&A. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. What we'll cover today is the regulatory affairs responsibilities, legal implications, regulatory documents, pitfalls that we've seen in regulatory submission, and then using AI and automation. What are some of the features and benefits there? Then we'll wrap up with the Q&A. Quick background on Celigence. We're a global consulting company, so we work with clients all over the world with a heavy focus on medical writing and regulatory submissions. So we have built, we both do consulting and have software that we've built specifically to leverage AI and automation, given the challenges that we saw for efficiency and for data management as we've been doing this work. Global company headquartered in the US and with offices in UK, Netherlands, India, Romania, and elsewhere. So we're thrilled to have you here. And let me introduce our two fabulous speakers. I think you'll learn a lot listening to both of them as they share both the challenges that they've experienced and then what they've seen work well to leverage AI and automation to overcome those challenges. So on the panel, Joseph Richardson Larby. Joseph's our Director of Medical Device Regulatory Affairs, very experienced professional with a master's degree in regulatory affairs, over 20 years of experience in medical device, both for medical devices and IVD, and will be sharing, again, his firsthand experience in this area. And then our second speaker is Shruti Sharma. Shruti is our product manager of software, and Shruti started as a medical writer, has seen the inefficiencies of trying to do everything manually firsthand, and now leads our product management for our software to make things much more efficient using AI and automation. So with that, I will hand it over to Joseph to get started.
Okay, thank you very much, Erin, for the lovely introduction, and welcome everybody for joining today's session. As we know, regulatory affairs professionals working in our field, we are involved in several phases of medical devices, from design development, handing over to um, manufacturing, and then post-market surveillance and all of that. But really, for when we look at manufacturers, really we can either see them as inventors or investors. Really, I think there's just those two sides to the coin. You either come up with a smart idea because you're an inventor and you want to help patients, or you come up with an idea and really you're interested in the money. But where do regulators then come in? We come in to bridge that gap, right, and make sure that we're calling a spade, and we're looking out for the safety and the well-being of the patients. So we take the applicable standards and we make sure there's a regulatory strategy, a path to go to the market, right time at the right cost, and make sure things are done right. We also look at the risk management side of things and make sure that the benefit risk ratio of the device, it's not skewed towards the risk side. Obviously, there are risks with using every device. I mean, hey, there are even risks with crossing the street, right? You could get knocked over by or run over by a car. So, we also look after the quality control and the assurance of it, making sure that everything's on point and we're not putting defective devices or medicines out there. And we do so by conducting audits, either internally or externally. We get conducted and we make sure that the manufacturer is staying on point. So through that, we also go through the authorization process where for medical devices, we get a CE approval. For medicines in Europe, you got an MAH approval that you go through with your competent authorities. And then once you've got your device on the market, you have to obviously maintain the market, maintain the product on the market. And it is down to us regulatory affairs professionals to make sure that we've got that certification and also we are maintaining the device on the market by constantly checking the benefit risk ratio, complaints, all these necessary regulatory documents, CERs and PSURs and PMS reports and SSCPs, and make sure that everything is on point and hand it over to either the notified body or the competent authority whenever that request is being made. So these are some of the responsibilities of a regulatory affairs professional. Next slide, please. So having said that, I know you all here take your roles very seriously, and so do I. But what can really go wrong if we don't do our jobs properly, or if there are deficiencies in our roles? We all, like I said, we all have the responsibility to really look after patients or users, make sure they're safe and look after their well-being, which means we really do have a duty of care to the user or to the patient. And for that, there is a legal accountability, both civil and criminal as well. And I'm sure we all know of certain scenarios in the industry, which I'll touch on in a second. But yes, we do have a legal accountability for it. We could be, there could be civil cases, and in some cases we could either be fined, or you could end up in jail, or both, really. We do have a regulatory oversight, so we are responsible to or accountable to notified bodies, competent authorities, as well as the manufacturers or our bosses within the companies that we work for. We try and make sure that the data that's generated from these devices are held safely. Company secrets are also kept in touch. We advise on the best strategies, market exclusivity, using intellectual properties and all of these things. It's all part of what we do, cybersecurity. And we all see the length that the regulators are going to, in Europe, we've got the new EU MDRs, IVDRs, replacing the directives. And key difference between the directives and the regulations. Directives, you could pick and choose what you wanted to do, it's adopted by the country, and there was a leeway of tailoring it to your specifications. But in this case, the regulations is the law, and it is what it is. You have to follow what the law says, and if you don't, then there will be repercussions for it. A few case studies, just to mention, so we know how serious our roles are. I think we're all familiar with the PIP company in France and the breast implant scandal that really changed the industry as we know it. It's one of the catalysts to really call for a change from the directives to the regulations as we know it, as well as the metal hip implants. And when I speak about legal implications, the PIP company, I think the co-founder of this company actually ended up in jail. Yeah, we've got on the screen here Mr. Jean-Claude Mass, who was later on sentenced in jail, and some sources actually say he actually died in jail. But yeah, he passed away in 2019, and cases are still ongoing about ruptured breast implants, and people, especially after COVID, where the health system is so overwhelmed and people are having to pay the extra fee and go private and get these things done. So just want us to bear in mind what our responsibilities are, and some implications if we don't do our jobs properly. The next stage, I want to highlight a few key documents that we produce, create, maintain within the industry. And really, we'll then talk about some of the pitfalls during our regulatory submissions, and then we'll go into how best we can solve some of these elements. So as I've touched on, we've got risk management files, the plans, analysis, reports, the design history files, that houses all the change control elements of our devices, biocompatibility evaluation reports, how the devices interact with the user, toxicity, and the rest. Also, in trying to establish your benefit risk ratios, your clinical data, you also need your literature search reports and your clinical evaluations, and even coming down to stuff like the packaging of the device and the labeling of the device. These are all key documents that we either create or we maintain in our day-to-day lives, or at times we contract it out to another service provider for them to provide. But as regulatory affairs professionals, we have the oversight of all of these documents. And when we get audited, and now within all of these regulations, there's an element of unannounced audits, and I've had a few clients that, suddenly they'll phone up and say, hey, we've got a notified body outside, and, they're willing to come in and conduct an unannounced audit, and virtually I'll have to join a meeting and, go through all the entire process with the notified body. So, we have to bear in mind all of these things that happen in our day-to-day lives. So, with that said, what are some of the pitfalls that we've seen in raising or creating some of these documents, and how does it really compare with, a manual process as we already know it? Regulatory affairs is really a relatively new profession, right? Yes, quality control and quality assurance has been there since, day one. But, the term regulatory affairs, as we know it, is relatively new. Although under quality assurance, some sort of regulatory affairs was being conducted, but it's relatively new in comparison to other professions. And things have started off, it's a manual process where, in the past, now we're using computers and all of these things, but people were using cabinets and files and hard copies of documents, and some companies still do, especially in the pharmaceutical world. You're supposed to keep both the hard copy and then the soft copy. But I know, industry is moving more towards a soft copy, and now there's an extra layer of complication with AI and automation and all of these things. And I put my hand up. I'm very skeptical when it comes to AI and technology and all of these things, but I am learning these things and I'm changing with it as well. So there are some differences there, and we are moving towards a different way. But when you compare the manual process with automation and AI, then there are some few benefits here and there. Well, there are loads of benefits. You're prone to errors on the manual side, and that's really relative and subjective to some point. Inconsistencies between documents, whereas if you get a computer, I spoke about my Alexa moment. If I'm to ask the same question to Alexa, unless it's been programmed to give me a different answer, it'll probably give me the same answer over and over again. So if you program your device, your software properly, then obviously you will get the results that you are really looking for. With the manual way of working, you are dependent on the expertise. You're as good as the resources that you do have available. Really, there's not much to it. Whereas with technology, you can probably upgrade it with new functionality, new features, and you're able to scale up in terms of more products coming onto the market, boost profits for those that are interested, and make the teams more agile and robust and do more, be effective in what they're doing. And to some extent, when we say it's relatively the case or subjective, then there is an increase in regulatory compliance risk, comparing the manual side to your automated side of things. So this is just to compare the manual process and obviously the automated processes. Now let's look at some pitfalls in our regulatory submissions. That's really, as at Selligence, we've been at this game for a while. Like I've been in industry for a couple of decades, going on to almost 3 decades now, although I know I don't look it. But yeah, we've seen a lot of things not going so well, and we get feedback from notified bodies, and when we submit or when we get clients that are halfway through the process and they engage with us, and when we go through the documents, the pitfalls that we see and things that we try to correct and then submit to notified bodies. And I hope I can share some of these experiences with you, and obviously look at some solutions that we can also bring to the table that will hopefully avoid you from making some of these mistakes, or learn a few things that you can add to your weaponry or arsenal. So I'll take just a handful. We can go on till the cows come home, really, when it comes to this. But really, I think taking some examples that we've seen, especially this year or in the last 6 months, you've got, for example, inconsistencies across documentation, which really, I think, depending on the auditor, really can, rub them up the wrong way, where your indications for use is not consistent across all documents. So you've got different indications on some documents, and you've added a few more to others, and you don't have the data to back them all up. It's something that we are seeing, and technology can solve some some of these issues. Some of them are, human errors. Some of them are not. Your clinical claims and benefits, all of these things not being stated consistently across your document. When it comes to core documentation, like your clinical evaluation reports and your literature set strategies, not clearly defining your methodology, what your endpoints are, how they relate to safety and performance, how you're going to draw your acceptable criteria. All of these elements, we are seeing some of these scenarios come up, not clearly stating what your safety endpoints are, and how you're going to determine that your device is safe, or even if you're calling your device as comparable to state of the art or a well-established device, not giving clear reasons of how to do these things. We are seeing the notified bodies really pick up on some of these elements. When it comes to risk management, for example, the risk file not being updated frequently as it's supposed to be, or the information that is there when you compare it to your latest clinical evaluation file, you can tell that the risk file has not been updated accordingly, which is a big flaw on its own, because really when you conduct your clinical evaluations, you're supposed to update and check all your risk management files, your manufacturing files, and all the data that you do hold, and any updates that you need to make to your technical documentation, you have to do so. If there are other actions that you need to implement, for example, put extra warnings or cautions in your manuals for the users. You have to do so after conducting your clinical evaluation report. And some of these things are missing when we go through these processes, or simply insufficient demonstration of how you're going to determine your benefit risk ratio, and coming up with a simple statement that weighing X and Y, Z and comparing it to your intended purpose overweighs, and that's okay. We're saying to the point that these statements are not flying anymore. This is the increased regulatory elements that have been added to manufacturers' technical documentation by the new regulations that we see. So these are some of the examples of the pitfalls that we are seeing in the industry. Can I have the next slide, please? So with that, like I said, we've been in the industry for a while. We've done this. We've come up with a platform called Captis that we started using internally to really boost efficiencies. A group of developers, our founders are really heavily invested in this and really want to help manufacturers come up with the best solutions. It was really intended for us solely to use and really boost our productivity as we are working with clients, and build a database of lessons learned and how to improve our documentation, and be more effective, and not having to try and read every source document anytime you have to update a file, and all of these things. So we found a way to automate some of our processes and incorporate some AI functionalities and co-pilots, and all of these elements that we see. And my colleague Shruti will take us through that in a moment. So we've built this, and we would like to share some of its features and benefits for you to know what is really out there and how you can go about things. And very recently, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, we actually won an award. This was, and it's really a good feeling to be recognized by the industry for the category of innovation up against other big players within the industry. To have Celigence win this is truly an honor to win this award. So it is an award-winning platform, as now I can call it, and really proud of this software is doing. So without further ado, I will hand over to my colleague Shruti, who will take us through some of the features and the benefits of this platform, bearing in mind some of the pitfalls that we've seen. It's really how to get you to be more organized and submit documents to your notified body that you can go through a one time, at most a second time pass, really. I know, when it comes to conformity assessments, we do have a few rounds of reviews. I think the standard is 3 reviews when you're going through your conformity assessment to get your CE mark for your devices. In some cases, you can get the 4th round, depending on how your documentation is looking at. But, the aim here is really to make sure that you can go through at a one-time pass. But that's rarely the case, if not, a second time pass. So, Shruti, over to you.
Thank you, Joseph. To all of you all on the call, I'll just give a very quick introduction to what Captis is. It is a workspace for our medical writing teams, for ours and also our clients. Typical activities that one performs when writing a regulatory document. It may or may not include a literature review, and then you may be looking at different adverse events databases, and then also the actual final drafting. So all of this can happen in Captis. So this is like a centralized platform where our teams go and conduct their literature searches, including the entire literature review. It can also automatically make different kinds of reports based on the document template that they're following. We also have integration with US FDA MOD and TPLC. The third module, that's the source documents module. This is where users can store all of their product-related documentation. Anything that one would need to refer to when building that final report can be stored there and can be easily accessed when they are in the 4th module, that's the report writing module. So this is where you can do your full drafting along with a very sophisticated review workflow. So this way, all of your data and your process is in one centralized place. This also makes it really easy for you to also maintain your documents as you go on. In Captis, in Celogen, sorry, we use Captis, like I said, as a centralized place for all of our regulatory processes, mostly for medical writing projects. And then we also have AI, which we use for a couple of different things. We use it to extract data from literature. We use it to chat with our literature and also retrieve information from all of the technical documents that are being stored on the platform. So I'm going to take you through a couple of my favorite features from the platform and how our users benefit from it. First up, we have something called the data dictionary. So this works like a master repository for your product's information. Anything that does not really change, regardless of the document that you draft for your product, can be stored in one centralized place in your project. And this can then be reused over and over for different kinds of documents that you draft. You can even store templates in the software. And even when you make templates, you can add placeholders for these dictionary entries, which then allows the software to populate your documents automatically the moment you load your templates. So in a way, you already have some of the content in your document already populated even before you start working on it.
Shruti, a very quick question. So when you
Sure.
say templates, are we able to upload templates in any format, like a Word, a PDF format, Excel template? Are we able to upload these and work with it in the workspace?
So we actually encourage our users to build their templates in the platform itself so that they can utilize all the different features that are available to make their templates, let's say, smarter.
Okay.
But
all
yes,
right.
yeah.
All right. And if you are to export the template or the file afterwards, does it come in a Word format, a PDF format, or do you have the option to tailor the output of this document that you've created in Captis?
Yes. So we have a default format for Word. So this allows people to then add additional formatting or any other signatures that need to be placed in before they finalize the actual document. We
Sure.
want to give them full flexibility. Yeah.
Goody. Thanks.
Yeah. So moving ahead, another feature that we have, this is in our document writing platform. We have something called content linking. So whenever we draft regulatory documents, writers also typically leave annotations for the reviewers, letting them know that, hey, I took this content from, let's say, page number 25 of the technical file, or maybe another page number from another file, so that the reviewer knows where this content was taken from. And if you are a reviewer and your writers don't already do this, then you must be spending quite some time hunting for this information in all of your technical documentation. The content linking feature in Captus makes it really easy to leave links to exactly where writers took this information from. The moment you copy from a document and you paste that into your draft, Captus will automatically make this link for you. This will allow, of course, the writer to also track where they took their data from. It also allows reviewers to have a much quicker data verification process as a part of their overall document review.
Goody.
So
just
yes.
just one thing there. So if we go back a slide, and I mentioned how skeptical I am with technology and AI and stuff like that, to the point that personally I haven't used Chat GPT before. I know it's a big thing out there, and I know Shruti, yours going on about it. And I think recently, Google had an update, and within the browser, so that it's installed something called Gemini. And when you type in your questions and stuff, when you search, and I mean it's no different really, when you're searching for things on there, and when it gives you your responses, it comes up with the same tag where when you click on it, you're able to see the actual source and website where it's getting that information from. So is this a similar way? Is this like a tag where it's pointing towards your source documents to tell you, I'm getting this device description from this particular source document that you've uploaded onto your system?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So right now, what I showed you was the automation bit. With the AI enhancement, the AI will draft these content for you. They'll give you some draft content, and it'll also show you exactly where it took the reference from your source documents. So yes, that is the goal. So
yeah.
How content links work from what I have on my screen. So you only need to click on the link and it will take you exactly to the location where the content was taken from. You'll see that as a highlight, again, making it really easy for people to identify.
Sure. And I guess this helps with, when it comes to maintaining your documents, or if you want to make changes to key statements within your documents, you're able to replicate. So if you've got for example, if you've got your device description stored on a few documents within the system, by uploading your source data, you're able to change key features of your statements, and this will be duplicated across all other documents that you have stored within the system. So that's a really good feature. Thanks.
Certainly.
And Joseph and Shruti, just a quick time check, because I know we've still got quite a bit of content to cover. So might want to focus on the slides and cover some of the other details in the Q&A.
Sure.
Of course. Yeah. So the next feature that we have, these are dynamic tables from your literature review. So the literature report, the literature review module allows you to, of course, review your data. It will automatically fetch all your article metadata, and then it will automatically also make reports for you in the form of tables based on the settings that you apply. And these tables can be plugged in as dynamic tables in the actual draft that you're working on. When I say dynamic, that means that content in these tables will update automatically. The moment you have any change in your literature review, this table also updates automatically. That means you need not spend time making the change yourself, and your data stays consistent throughout. The data that you have in your literature review is also the exact same as what you have in your report documents. We also have review workflows in the system. This gives reviewers a lot of efficiency. They can, of course, they have content links that we have content links that help them see where the content was taken from. And even during their review process, they can approve individual sections, and then they can also see which other reviewers have also approved the same sections, that the entire team is on the same page regarding where the review is going. There's a lot of transparency also in the entire process. So those were a couple of features that we have on the platform. There's a lot more to see. a lot more to also show you, but we don't have that much time, else I would have. Coming to AI integrations, I've already spoken about these. We have automatic data extractions from literature and summarization. So during your when you create your summaries from literature, or if you're trying to extract certain key data points for certain parameters, maybe your safety parameters or maybe your performance parameters, AI is very helpful at this stage. It will give you a draft that you can work on. You don't have to type things from scratch. You can, of course, polish and optimize the content to match your requirements. But AI features that we have right now, this is saving our users so much time in their data extraction process. This makes it easy for them to also identify what's important in their data, and this allows them to also have a consistent quality output. So this is our AI data extraction feature in work. So all you need to do is click on the Generate Suggestions button, and our AI Copilot would automatically extract data from the paper and give you as a suggestion. You as a user now have the ability to edit the content to match your needs and then approve it when it looks right. So apart from extracting data from PDF articles, AI can also be really helpful in your initial strategy development. So right when before we even start working on these regulatory documents, there is an important step surrounding strategy. You need to know exactly what you're looking for. How should you be evaluating this? And then, of course, you know the objectives that come from the regulations. So we tested AI to help us build this strategy. All we gave AI was the instructions for use, the content from the IFU, maybe the intended purpose, also a bit of the device description. And we asked it for specific performance indicators for devices like these. It was also very helpful in, again, getting safety indicators also. It told us exactly what to look for and how is this content assessed. Again, this is a small snippet of what we are experimenting with AI, but we're already seeing a lot of potential here in helping you make your strategy in a much more easier way, and also in helping you train your junior resources in your team, reducing the overall burden on the subject matter expert. So now that we've seen what's possible with technology, of course, a very small bit of it, I want to dive into why it's worth adopting these solutions, not just for today's challenges, but also for long-term benefits. What you get from technology in general, in adopting technology in your regulatory workflows, one of them is scalability. Now, if you are a small team, it's very easy to keep the quality in check, quality in control. You know exactly who's working on which document, but as your team also grows, it becomes harder to keep quality in check if your entire process is based on people following SOPs. So this is where technology comes in. You can have as many projects as you want. All of them will follow the exact same process. There will be no variations. That means you have a lot of consistency in all the projects that you're following. And this also reduces dependency on individual expertise. What I mean to say is information is not centralized just to one person then. Everyone using the platform now has access to the same amount of information, and they can use it to improve the quality of their work. And think of it this way, every time you start a new project, maybe this is a maintenance project that you're picking up that somebody else worked on 5 years ago, you must have also spent a lot of time just digging and hunting for files from the previous project. And what if technology could just give you all of that in one go? You don't spend any time looking for files. You have exactly what you need before you start working on your project. This also allows you to be more agile in your processes, meaning if there is a new change coming in from notified bodies, a new kind of data that they're looking for, if you're using technology, the same technology for all of your projects, again, it's very easy to adapt. One change in the tech then carries over to all of your different projects. You don't have to worry about communicating the process change to all of your team members and relying on humans to make that change manually in making sure that the quality is tight. So a lot of the risk of error and also compliance risks can be eliminated by using AI and automation in regulatory workflows. And to really understand the impact of technology, let's do a quick comparison of the effort required in manual workflows versus automated ones. So I'm going to take an example of the average effort required for, say, a CER for a Class 2B device, and we're doing a full CEP, CER, LSR package. So assuming this is the amount of effort that you're spending using a tech-enabled process, could be maybe 6 to 8 weeks. And what we've observed from our process, traditional manual methods take much longer to do the same activity, significantly more time. And of course, you're also tight on deadlines. And in case you have observations from the notified body, you need to remediate your draft. If you're doing this manually the first time, you will also have significant additional remediation efforts. Now, you may still have remediation efforts even if you have a tech-enabled process, but they will be comparatively lower, much, much lower than what you would be spending if you are doing this work manually. Because remember, technology can actually update multiple data points at the same time. Whatever you have in your literature review will automatically populate in the CER that you're drafting. Again, you don't have to worry about making the manual change yourself. And in Selligence, we've already seen incredible benefits and efficiencies with working with tech-enabled regulatory workflows, but this is just also the beginning. Imagine the possibilities that we can have if we took things even further. There's so much that can be done. And here at Selligence, we're not just building solutions for today, we're also shaping the future of regulatory compliance. And the ideas that we have, what if you had automated calculations for PSURs, or maybe have AI automatically map events back to your risk files the moment you identify them? Or perhaps it could give you automatic regulatory submission triggers. When should a certain document be submitted? Also give you a draft that you can work on right before the submission, not right before, maybe depending on the timeline that you set, when would you start working on that draft. It could also help you with your maintenance workflows, automatically run your previous literature search strings, and also give you update alerts whenever a source document or your technical document changes. What changes would you need to do to your regulatory documents? And we're also working, for a lot of these innovations, we're also working with clients for proof of concept. And we have a lot of forward-thinking manufacturers who've reached out to us asking if they can partner with us, if there is something that we can do for their pain points. And we have a lot of these mini projects going. And this is also where you all come in. The fact that all of you are attending the webinar already puts you ahead of the curve. There's so much innovation happening. All you need to do is, reach out to us. Tell us what your problems are. If you'd like to see a demo of our solution, we're also very happy to show you what capabilities we already have. And then we can partner with you, look at the pain points that you have, and see how we can use our tech to address your specific needs. And that covers our talk for today.
Fabulous. Thank you, Shruti. Thank you, Joseph. Let's go to Q&A. I see one question in the chat. Shruti, I think this one's for you. Where is the source data uploaded to? Is it a cloud solution from Selligence, or can the software be used on our company's servers?
The source data is uploaded on a cloud-based platform. We use Amazon Web Services, but yes, this is also a web-based platform. So all you need is a browser to start working on this software.
Thanks, Shruti. I'm sure we've got a couple of other questions coming in.
Yes, I see one in the chat. This one is asking if we can give a little more description about the literature review workflow. Yes, so the literature module was actually the first module that we built when we were building Captus, because that was the first place where we identified, this is where automation can help us immediately. The task of fetching data from multiple literature databases, once your search strategy is finalized, you may be searching in PubMed, Google Scholar, Embase, Prospero, and you may have multiple search strings running in each of these databases. It takes a lot of time to fetch this data, also organize it in a uniform manner. And some databases, especially things like Google Scholar, don't even allow you to export your data out in a uniform format. So with Captis, all our users are doing is they run their searches and the platform automatically fetches all that data for them and they can get to screening right away. Apart from that, you can do your entire level 1, that is your title and abstract screening, along with your full text appraisal. You can even set your own custom questions. The platform can also fetch PDFs for you. So yeah, the entire literature review happens in the module in your project itself. And you also get to use a lot of the automatic reports that the platform gives you.
All right. Another one for you, Shruti. Is it possible to upload a complete technical documentation file and search for inconsistencies?
Yes, that is something that we is in proof of concept right now, but that is a feature that we are soon going to be building. So how we plan this feature is for you to be able to query your own technical file to find out exactly where some data is, and even summarize content from your technical file based on the objective that you have. So yes, that is something that is soon coming up.
Very helpful. Joseph, are any notified bodies using your system? And I might also expand what this person's asking. Maybe you could also address how notified bodies have responded to documents submitted that have been written using this system.
Yes, exactly. So we've seen really positive feedback from the notified bodies from the output that we've actually submitted to notified bodies as part of your submission pack. In terms of notified bodies using the system, so we don't have notified bodies with licenses using the system at the moment, but we are affiliated with a couple of notified bodies in France that are part of the user trial. So when we launch new features, we've got a notified body panel that we launch it to and get them to provide their input. So yes, they are part of the building process in terms of to validate certain elements. And we have seen really good feedback from the notified bodies from the actual documents that have been created within Captis and then submitted to the notified bodies. Thanks, that was a very good question.
Thanks, Joseph. Shruti, I think this one's for you as well. How do you protect confidential information within documents from being fed back into LLM, large language model systems?
A very good question. So the AI implementations that we have in Captis, they work like a closed environment. The data inside your Captis instance stays inside only. It is as secure as using, let's say, something like SharePoint, because we use Microsoft's implementation of the open AI model. So again, that makes it as secure as any Microsoft software. But if that answers, yes, it is a closed system, nothing goes out.
Thanks for clarifying that. Let's see, can you use Captis to monitor international requirements, such as laws, guidance, standards across 50 to 100 countries, to screen and evaluate the impact of new and updated requirements on product specifications and product-related documentation?
I see.
Yes, so that's pointing towards regulatory intelligence. There are certain functionalities. So really, it's got to do with the documentations that you create or the databases that it's plugged into. So at the moment, it's plugged into a few databases where you can conduct searches and then get information from. I think something like this, a regulatory intelligence per se, it's not currently the feature that Captis will be able to do, but it's something that we could gear towards because we do have a regulatory intelligence service that we do provide, and there are certain elements where we're able to use this for the reporting feature, for example, but for a full-blown regulatory intelligence using Captis, we're not there yet, but it's not far-fetched.
Thanks, Joseph. Let's see, someone's asking, do the links in the documents work when you work outside of Captus? Ruthie, I think that's one for you.
Yes, the links will only work for documents uploaded to the system, so the links won't work outside.
And then what is, this one's probably also for you, Shruti. What is the average effort needed for a company who has around 10 technical files to switch into the Captus system?
I think it's hard to answer this one. I think it's best if whoever asked this question to reach out to us directly. We could have a meeting, you could see our system, and then we could also assess the exact task that you're looking for, the exact pain point that you have, and then be able to answer that question more effectively.
Can Captus also be applied to pharmaceutical and drug products, or does it cover medical devices only?
Oh, absolutely. It can be. It is not tailored to medical devices. Think of it as functionality, things that you can do with your data. Your data can come from anywhere. It could be data for a medical device or a pharma product. It's all the same for technology.
Yeah. Back to the previous question in terms of the average effort needed. I guess we're trying to find out if you want to easily switch or upload your documents and then use Captus, how long can you really be up and running in Captus? Really, the upload of the document, it works similar to uploading a document or downloading a document from a website. So really depends on the size of the files that you do have and the number of files that you have to upload into the system. But really, it will be a simple onboarding process where we take you through the actual system for you to know how to use the system. We'll give you time to familiarize yourself with it, and there's technical support available to help you with your day-to-day tasks in case there are brick walls that you do hit. And really you can upload your documents and then start using it. Really, that doesn't take too much time. I think within sort of like 3 to 4 weeks, you should be up and running with all 10 technical files, having gone through the initial phases of learning the system and then being able to use it on your own. By the 3rd or 4th week, you should be there and ready to go.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Shruti. I think that's all the questions we've got for now. If you think of anything for the audience, if you have questions afterwards, please feel free to email us at info@celigence.com and we can follow up. Thanks so much to everyone who was able to join, and a huge thank you to our fabulous speakers, Joseph and Shruti.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Have a good day. Thanks.